It's called a prism. Most people think of a prism as something like this, but have no idea about its correct definition. So let's erase this and start with the definition of a prism. It's a three-dimensional shape that has identical parallel ends and all flat faces. Well, it's the most confusing definition ever. Identical, parallel, flat, there are just too many things. So forget the definition for now. Let's just look at figures and understand prisms. Look at this three-dimensional figure. The most important thing in topic of three-dimensional shapes is visualizing the shapes. Few of the lines are dotted because those are the lines that cannot be seen from this view. Look at the ends of this figure. It's a long figure with two ends. Now let me color the two ends for you. This figure has two triangles at its ends, and it has three rectangles as faces. This one in the front, one at the back, and one at the bottom. Now we look at the definition. It says that the ends are identical and parallel. They are identical since both are triangles, and both the triangles are parallel to each other. The definition also says that all its faces should be flat. And in this figure, all faces are flat. They are rectangles. This, by the way, is called a triangular prism. Here's another three-dimensional shape. Let me color its ends. We can see that it has two rectangles as ends, and they are also parallel to each other. And it has four rectangles as faces. One on the right hand side, one on the left hand side, one at the top, and one at the bottom. So all its faces are flat. This is called a rectangular prism. So if you noticed, the prisms are defined by its ends. Triangles as its ends, triangular prism. Rectangles at its ends, rectangular prism. Look at the rectangular prism. Does this shape remind you of another three-dimensional shape? Yes, a rectangular prism is also a cuboid. Now let's look at a few figures and understand if they are prisms or not. Remember the definition: identical parallel ends and all flat surfaces. Here's the first figure. It's a part of a pipe. Both the ends are circles and are parallel to each other. It means that this figure has identical parallel ends. This figure has identical parallel ends but has a curved surface. Hence, it's not a prism. I want to emphasize there are only two things that make a three-dimensional shape a prism: identical and parallel ends, and all its faces flat. Here, the ends are flat, but the surface is curved, so it's not a prism. Here's another figure. First, we look at the ends. Both are triangles, and hence we can say that this figure has identical ends. But wait, they are not parallel. The upper triangle is slightly tilted. So this figure as well is not a prism. Now assume we have a plane with a rectangle on it. If we project the rectangle upwards, equally from all sides, we get a prism. In this figure, we have projected all the sides to the same height. But what if we do not project all the sides to equal heights?